Melissa. Happy Wednesday. Wanted to pop in and give you some tips today on cutting super small, teeny tiny text. And if you saw the blog post today, I gave you some 20 of my favorite craft fonts, tips on how to pick craft fonts that are great cutting at any size. But I did want to do this live as well so you can really see how this goes, because I am a crafter just like you, and sometimes I have to cut more than once, and sometimes I just know that I need to pick specific fonts to make sure that everything works out. Okay, so the most challenging type of material to cut, especially in a really small size, is adhesive vinyl, okay? So this is already cut, but cutting is actually the easier part. It's the weeding that really is where you can get into trouble. So I wanted to show you a couple of tricks on how to weed this, okay? While we're doing that, I am going to send a piece to cut so you can kind of see how it goes. And we will go from there. Okay, so let me get this started. This is heat transfer vinyl. This text that I'm cutting, I have it right here in studio. It is, I just want to give you the dimensions so you can see, or so you know. This is less, what I'm going to cut on here, hey Roy, what I'm going to cut on here is less than ½ an inch. This is text. So I've picked 4 different types of fonts, okay? They're all part of the Crafter's font bundle. They are the perfect fonts for cutting. So I've got one that is just like a fun kind of font. It is a sans serif. Another one that is serif-ish. If you're not sure what that means, serifs are those little tiny like lines at the bottom of a font. The problem is that when you cut them really small, the blade ends up kind of hooking itself. So you want to look for a font that has like a nub and not a serif. So it's like serif-ish, okay? All right, so I got one of them, and I have two script fonts, okay, which we all know are really the challenge because the connectors are often very tiny, okay? All right, so while this starts, I'm going to just give you some, oh, wait a second, I got to plug. Nothing works if you don't have your CAMEO plugged in, people. All right, here we go. I just want you to see what I'm doing here, all right? All right, okay. So we will load this in and send this to cut. Now, this is Caesar HTV, and I'm cutting it on a blade of 2, speed 2, and a force of 9. So the speed and the force are very important, okay? You definitely want to make sure, it's telling me my CAMEO can't connect. That's nice. Here it goes. You definitely want to make sure that the force is enough that it's going to cut through. And you also want to make sure that the speed is low enough that it is not dragging your design around, okay? So the speed typically for HTV, the default is 8. I reduced it to 2 because this design is so small. So let's send this to cut. And while we are doing that, send as is. I'm going to give you some tricks on over here, on how to weed this adhesive vinyl. Now, the first thing that I would suggest that you do is cut it off of the main sheet, okay? So what you can't probably see is that I have 4 fonts here. They all have a box around them. So tip number 1, make a weeding box, okay? So weeding boxes are helpful because even though I have 4 pieces of text here, 4 lines of text, I'm not trying to pull this piece of vinyl away from the text itself. I can pull the full sheet of vinyl away, but it's only going around those boxes for right now, okay? So that's tip number 1. That makes it really easy. The second thing you want to do for adhesive vinyl is reverse weed, okay? So reverse weeding is where you actually take your piece of transfer tape, okay, and you place it on top of your vinyl like this. You are going to weed off of the transfer tape, okay? I've shown you this before, but I'm going to show it again. I'm going to go down here. Calm it down. Okay. This is from my Ultra, but I don't know where my scraper is at the moment, so I'm just going to do this. Okay, so the goal here is to actually pick the entire piece of vinyl up off of the backing. Okay, and you're like, that's not weeded. Yes, I know. We are going to weed off of the transfer tape, and I'm going to show you how this works. Now typically I like to weed with my vinyl stuck to my mat to keep everything in place, but my mat is being used and I don't see another one around. Oh, here's one. I got mats everywhere, guys. Look, I got 2 to pick from. Let's see if this helps. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this just helps it keep in place. Now what you're gonna do is use a super sharp hook or tweezers, and you're going to pick the corner of that box up, okay? And what's gonna happen is the cut vinyl is going to stay behind. Your actual text will stay behind while you weed away the weeding box, okay? So this is where, whoopsie daisy. This, oh, I got it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if you need to help it out, you can do that. Okay, so you can see, even at this very, very, very small size, reverse weeding is very helpful. And now it's already on your transfer tape. Okay, so let's do one more. I'll do a script one here. Can you see over my hand? I don't know if I can get you any closer. Okay, so this weeding box is very helpful this way, okay? All right, so here we go. So I did that. I did it here. I previously did it on the other one so that I could just quickly show you. All right, so weeding boxes. Now, the third thing that I want to show you, where's the one I did here? Okay, so this is HTV. The vinyl is a little bit more challenging. You can see that on this one, I actually did, when I weeded, I missed the eye on windswept, okay? All right, so even though I missed it there, I learned from that, and what I did on this one is before I cut it, I ungrouped, and I literally took the dot of the eye and I scaled it just a tiny bit more, and you can see that it did cut on that one and it weeded fine, okay? All right, so that's that. Let's put these all over here. Now, we have our HTV that's ready over here. Now, what I don't want you to do is unload this yet. What I do want you to do is take part of that weeding box and make sure, can you see what I'm doing? If the comments are in your way, just swipe them and they'll go away. I want you to weed the box on the mat. The reason that we're doing this is because if it doesn't weed easily, you can send it to cut again and it will cut in the exact same area, okay? All right, so let's unload this. I'm gonna pull you over here. Now, for sure the most challenging one of this set is windswept. You can't even see it on here. I'm gonna cut this down a bit. Let's see. Gotta get that glare just right so you can see. Okay, so again, this is HTV, but I would pull the edge up, leaving the weeding boxes. Now obviously with HTV, it already comes on the transfer, so you don't need to reverse weed. All right, okay, so now you've got this. All right, now let's do windswept. Pull it up here so you can see. I want to see, I can't really move you. Okay, so use your corner of your really sharp, okay, and just slowly weed that box out, okay? And then what you can do next, you can see that all came on the right, the whole thing came up. Okay, so now I just need to go, I got the little dot of the eye is there. Can you see it? Okay, and then you can just go in and use your super sharp tweezers and get those little counters out of there. Okay, I really need to weed on a hard surface in order to do that, but that's how you're going to do that. All right, so let's do these other ones. So I don't know who is going to be cutting this tiny of text, but what I wanted to show you is that when you pick the right fonts, when you pick fonts that have certain characteristics, like the ones that I showed you in today's tutorial on Silhouette School, it is possible to cut them on any material and at any size. Please tell me you can tell how small this is. I don't know where my little measuring thing is, but I don't have hands the size of a giant, so this is very small, okay? And then you can weed it out, and look, let me weed this part of this L so you can see, because this is so small, but with Look at that. Wait, where is it? Look at this L. Oh my God, you can see how grown out my nails are. That's how close we are. This is a, okay, see that? That's how tiny it is, okay? So when you cut slowly, when you cut with the right force, when you pick fonts that are the right types of fonts, fonts that have, this is a serif type font. This is what I was talking about. This Brilliant is a serif type font. It has little nubs on there, but not super sharp edges that will get snagged. Succulent, an awesome font that is great for almost any project, but it's big, it's smooth, it's bold, and so even at this small of a size, it cuts well. Windswept, extremely tiny and delicate. I did put a .005 offset around it. The dot on that eye was made a tiny bit bigger, okay, and that's how that one was cut. So all these tips are on the blog today. I threw the link up there. These 4 fonts, plus 16 others, which I consider the best for crafting when you're cutting, are all part of the Crafters Font Bundle. I'm so fancy right now, which I also threw up there. So if you're wondering, like, I don't know what kind of fonts that are easy to cut on Silhouette, I don't know what the best fonts are, I put them all together for you to make it super easy. I put tips on the blog on how to cut them and weed them. Use those weeding boxes, reverse weed, slow it down, and take a drink of wine while it's cutting, and cross your fingers. And if I can do this live, you can do it when nobody's watching. Promise. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you soon.